Hello students, have a nice day to all of you. I am Dr. Deepak Kumar, Assistant Professor in Zoology at KKM College, Jamui. Today's topic is lactose operant system, operant system. So by this topic, we will try to understand the gene regulation in different organisms. Basically, the lac operant system governed in the prokaryotes. Simultaneously, we will be discussing the eukaryotic mechanisms also. So, what is basically gene regulation? Gene regulation means different functions of cells at different locations and at different times. Like in multicellular organisms, like in human beings, we have millions of cells, and those cells have the same DNA, same copy of DNA. The sequence is same in all of these cells, but these cells functions differently with respect to with respect to their place and time. For example, the cells in liver, they functions as they should function in liver. Like hepatocytes have different functions as the neurons in the brain, and the skin cells functions differently. So how these cells function differently? For their regulation, for the regulation of functions, we require proteins. Okay, so these proteins are regulated. The expression of protein is regulated, their amount is regulated, their timing is regulated. And how these things are regulated? These things are regulated during the code of like transcription, translation into the protein. We know that genetic code is there in DNA, and from DNA we get protein. So there are different steps between the process where we can make a protein from the genetic code that is there in the DNA sequence. So at all these steps we have regulatory systems. These steps can be regulated for the specific function of a cell. So the amount of protein, the timing of protein, and uh, place of protein can be regulated by the use of these mechanisms. So what are these mechanisms? We know that from DNA sequence, DNA code, we transcribe and make RNAs. Okay, one of the RNA is mRNA. Then that mRNA is transported from the nucleus into the cytoplasm, where in the ribosome they get translated into the proteins. So during this whole process, there are several steps. At all steps, we can have regulatory mechanisms to regulate the amount of end product, that is protein. So we know that eukaryotes in eukaryotes, what happens, that DNA is very much packaged inside the nucleus, that even in the wrapped in the histone proteins. So the expression of mRNA or RNA can be controlled there itself. Okay, so which part of DNA will be transcribed, it is controlled there. Okay, so the initiation of transcription is itself controlled, and the epigenetic control is there. Epigenetic, there is a control by the the euchromatin, heterochromatin is there, where in uh, specific positions the DNA is used to transcribe the RNAs. Okay, so then these RNAs can further be spliced. Okay, further can be spliced, can be broken in different parts. Okay, and then after after transcription, when we have RNA, we can have different mechanism like splicing. We can also have like polyadenylation is there. Then breaking down of RNA by siRNA, interference RNAs are there, which can also regulate the amount of RNA inside the cell. Okay, so and then we have the translation, process of translation. There also the gene is regulated. And finally, when the protein is formed post translationally, the regulation can work. For this detailed lectures on the replication of DNA, then transcription, translation. You can consult other lectures given by the other zoology professors. Okay, so basically what we will discuss today is the lycoporine system. Okay, but before we start, I wanted to let you know that what DNA regulation is, where it happens, and what is its significance. That's what I was saying, all those steps, that at different steps we can have the gene regulation mechanisms, and that is aimed at the differential function of a cell. Okay, so why we are discussing about the lycoporine system? Lycoporine system is basically the first system which was studied in detail by the Monod and his co-workers, and that's what they got Nobel Prize. The lycoporine system was the first experiment, or you can say it was the first evidence that gave the idea of gene regulation. So we should try to understand the lycoporine system. Today I will try to make the lycoporine system as simple it could be, and let you people understand this thing. So first of all, we will try to understand the Monod observation which he made in 1940s. What he observed, he was growing E. coli, Escherichia coli, and in the condition that he provided these bacteria with the glucose as well as lactose. And what he observed diauxic growth phase, diauxic growth curve. And what that mean? It means that the utilization of carbon source, which is here lactose and glucose, varies. Firstly, the bacteria utilizes glucose. Okay, say if glucose and lactose both are there, but first they utilize glucose, then they utilize the lactose. So why they are not utilizing lactose in first phase? Because they are not producing beta galactosidase. Okay, so it was the observation by the Monod, very much very keen observation, that why in different conditions, okay, the bacteria got the freedom to utilize any of the sugar. Either it can utilize the monosaccharide glucose or disaccharide lactose, but it is peripherally utilizing glucose. And so what prevents the bacteria to utilize the lactose is the lack of beta galactosidase synthesis. Okay, so beta galactosidase synthesis is not there because the bacteria can get the carbon from the glucose and energy from that. Okay, so by this experiment, by this observation, we can infer that whenever the bacteria or whenever the organism is required to produce a protein, then only it produces that protein. So in first phase, we that bacteria do not require beta galactosidase, and that's why it was not producing. So we can make a statement that proteins are not synthesized when they are not needed. Whenever the proteins, the requirement is there, then only the proteins can be synthesized. Okay, so this process, this phenomenon was called as enzymatic adaptation, and later on it was also called as enzymatic induction. So this was the Monod's observation, and then further experiments and further tools were used to know what basically the structure is there. Structure means what is the sequence in DNA that is making these things to happen. So we will try to understand what is happening inside the bacteria. So we have this sequence, we have this DNA sequence wherein we can see there the repressor is there upstream to the lactose operon. Okay, lac operon we can say, lactose operon is the full form. So lactose operon or lac operon is made up of promoter, operator, lac Z, lac Y, lac A, and the terminator. Okay, terminator, you know, terminator is there to stop the transcription. Okay, so this is the basic structure of the lycopodium, and upstream to the lycopodium we have repressor, and that we have promoter region like I and the terminator. Okay, so this is the basic structure which you should note that where which gene is there. So then we have the structural genes. Okay, we have all these three genes here, which are structural genes, which are basically required for the glycoprotein system to work for the metabolization of the glucose and lactose. Okay, so what happens here, these LAGZ gene codes for the beta galactosidase enzyme or protein, we can say. LAC-Y codes for the lactose permease, and LAC-A codes for the thioglycoside transacetylase. Okay, so what are the functions of these proteins? The lactose permease is a membrane protein. It, when these proteins are expressed, they are expressed over the membrane, over the cell membrane of the bacteria. Okay, so these permeases, what they do, they facilitate the movement of lactose, which we can say here is inducer, inside the bacteria. Okay, so these proteins are basically symports. Okay, they facilitate the movement of lactose inside the bacteria. And then we have this way they can make the uh, lactose to move inside the bacteria. Then comes the enzyme beta galactosidase. What does beta galactosidase does? It breaks the disaccharide, that is lactose, into the monosaccharides. Okay, monosaccharide, galactose and glucose. So basically you can note here that for the function of glycoprotein system, we require LAC-Z and LAC-Y gene to get transcribed and then translated into the enzymes beta galactosidase and protein lactose permease, which have their functions to operate in a E. coli or in a bacteria. Okay, and the third one, like a thioglycoside transacetylase, doesn't have direct role in the glycoprotein system, but if actually it is present in the like structural genes region, that's why we are taking account into that. Okay, then we have the repressor. Okay, we we had this structural gene. Okay, we had the whole structure of the lycoporin system and upstream repressor. We talk about the lycoporin system, where we have this three proteins, three genes, and eventually they give three proteins. Then we have this repressor, which is present upstream to the lycoporin system. And what happens here, you try to understand. As we are discussing about the two conditions, the first condition was wherein we had no lactose. Okay, we had no lactose, and at that time beta galactosidase enzyme, which is a structural protein there, I was saying. So you beta galactosidase expression was basal, at basal level. Okay, this expression was not increasing. A basal level is maintained, the of the beta galactosidase. But as soon as we add the lactose, that is inducer, into the medium of that bacteria, then this expression of beta galactosidase increases drastically, rather exponentially. So what is happening there? We should remember two conditions here, that when inducer is not there, then the expression of beta galactosidase is also not there. And as and when this inducer, that is lactose, is added, the expression of beta galactosidase increases. So what is basically this, something is there that is preventing the expression of beta galactosidase when there is no inducer, and that is basically the repressor. Okay, so this repressor is coded by the LAC-I gene, which were present upstream to the lycoporin system. And this lactose repressor is a tetramer containing 360 amino acid residues per monomer. Each monomer has 360 amino acid and it is a tetramer. Okay, and each monomer can bind one molecule of inducer, that is lactose. Okay, so now we have a experimental evidence that inducer, that is lactose, is making some changes inside the bacteria so that it can express beta galactosidase or not. Okay, so now we will try to understand what is happening. Here we have again two condition, as we were discussing about. The first condition is the when there is no inducer, that is no lactose is there, then what happens, this repressor region get expressed, like I is getting expressed, it transcribed into the mRNA, and mRNA is translated into the like I gene. Okay, repressor, lactose repressor protein, and this lactose repressor protein binds to the operator region. So this operator is what? Operator is just the part of DNA. It is the part of DNA sequence which is present in the region of lycopene system, lycopene gene. Okay, so this operator basically works as a switch. That's why it is called operator. It operates whether the expression of these genes, like genes, will happen or not will decide this operator. So when there is a no inducer, that is no lactose, then the like I, that is lactose repressor, keeps binding on the operator, and that's how it doesn't allow the RNA polymerase, DNA dependent RNA polymerase, to bind to this promoter region. Okay, so if this DNA dependent RNA polymerase, that is RNA poly, will not bind to the promoter region, the transcription will not happen. Okay, so when transcription is not happening, there is no production of protein beta, which is there in the like beta galactosidase, then permease, and the transacetylase. So these proteins are not getting expressed. Okay, so in first condition we can understand the binding of repressor to the operator is equal to the prevention of expression of like Z, Y, and N transcription. Okay, then we have second condition where we have inducer. Okay, we have inducer, that is lactose. So what does lactose do, what does lactose have effect on the system is that the lactose has the affinity to bind with the lactose repressor, that is like I. So when this lactose binds with the repressor protein, allosterically it changes its configuration, it changes its shape, you can say. And when this shape is changed, now this repressor protein is not able to bind the operator region. Okay, so when this repressor protein is not able to bind the operator region, now RNA pole can bind here. DNA dependent RNA polymerase can bind to the promoter region of this like like operant system. Okay, so now when RNA pole is able to bind here, it can transcribe this DNA, make a RNA. Okay, transcribe DNA into the RNA. This is the DNA dependent RNA polymerase. So it can take DNA as a template and make RNA. Okay, so this is the mRNA, and this is polycistronic mRNA. Polycistronic why? Because it has three different proteins to be expressed. Okay, so one more than one cistone is there, that's why it is polycistronic mRNA. So in second condition, what we can note is binding of inducer. Inducer is what? Lactose. So this lactose when binds to the repressor, it changes its configuration, it changes its shape. So it inactivates the repressor. Now repressor is inactivated, which ultimately results to the transcription of like Z, Y, and A, because now RNA polymerase can bind to the promoter region, which can transcribe there. Okay, so we should understand these two conditions. The first, when there is no inducer, you can now relate from that. When there was no inducer, so the repressor was binding to the promoter region and RNA pole could not bind to the promoter region. Inducer was binding to the operator region, and that's why RNA pole could not bind to the promoter region, and that's why beta galactosidase was not getting synthesized. But once the inducer is there, and inducer has the ability to bind with the repressor, and in thus changes the configuration, and the repressor cannot bind to the operator region, and hence the RNA polymerase can bind to the promoter and synthesize the beta galactosidase. So when the inducer is added, that is lactose is added, the expression of beta galactosidase increases. Okay, so this was the two conditions. Okay, now later on it was found that there are other proteins. Okay, so actually we have different types of protein. Okay, some are constitutive protein like I, this repressor, it is constitutive protein. It is expressed throughout the time. It is expressed in in basal level at all the times. Okay, so then we have some structural proteins which basically forms the structure or performs the action of enzymes. Okay, see, they are actual phenotypes. Okay, they are found in the physiological activities or at the phenotypical level. Okay, then we have some other proteins which are called regulatory proteins. Okay, so the lac I or the repression protein was a kind of regulator protein, but note that only repressor protein is there which regulates the expression of other protein, but there are other proteins are also like CAP, huh? Catabolite activator protein. It is also called as CRP, like CAMP receptor protein. These proteins are the part of global control system. Okay, they are part of the global control system. They controls the expression of other proteins globally. Like inside the cell, it controls the expression of different proteins there. So what happens here, that the this cap, that is catabolite activator proteins, they can bind to CAMP, and then it can the that combination can bind to the a region in the DNA called as cap binding site. Okay, so this cap binding site is just upstream to the promoter region. Okay, so what happens here, this cap protein when bound to CAMP, they can bind to the cap binding site, and this aggregate, this combination of cap and CAP facilitates the binding of RNA polymerase to the promoter region. Okay, so earlier it was thought or it was found that the repressor is regulating the expression of structural genes, the lycopene is there, but later on it was found that no, not only the repressor but other proteins are there which can bind to the upstream site to the DNA, and it can facilitate the binding of RNA polymerase. So when this RNA polymerase now can bind with the promoter, it can again start the transcription and express this structure protein here. One more thing we have to note here, that the how these cap proteins or catabolite activator proteins are getting into the picture. Actually, we have the level of glucose there in the medium, glucose and lactose we can take example, but there are other sugars are also which can be used as a carbon source, as an energy source. So what happens, the glucose, the amount of glucose inside the cells, we are talking about the inside the bacteria, so the amount of glucose is inversely proportional to the amount of cyclic adenosine monophosphate. Okay, cyclic AMP, it is inversely proportional to glucose. So when the glucose will be high, the CMP will be low, and when glucose will be low, the CMP will be high. So imagine a condition where the cell have low glucose, so CMP will be in higher amount. Okay, so when the CMP is in higher amount, it has affinity to bind the cap, that is catabolite activator protein, and catabolite activator protein has the affinity to bind the CAMP. That's why it is called as CMP receptor protein. It can receive the CAMP. Okay, cyclic AMP. So this is the global. This is the regulatory mechanisms by which not the presence of lactose inside the medium, but also the amount of glucose inside the cell can make lac operant to switch on. Okay, so here not only the repressor is there to make the lycopene perform switch off and switch on function, but there are other proteins like proteins which can perform the function to make the cell utilize the glucose. Okay, so now we have all these three conditions at one slide, and we can summarize here that in first condition, we can recall here that in first condition what happens, there is no lactose, no inducer, and that's why the repressor is getting getting the chance to bind the operator regions. Okay, and then this operator region doesn't let the RNA polymerase to bind at promoter region, and the synthesis is blocked. Okay, in second condition what happens, there is inducer, lactose is available there, so and glucose is not there. Okay, so what will happen, these lactose will bind to the repressor and elastically change its configuration, and as a resultant it will not bind to the operator region, and ultimately let the RNA polymerase to bind this promoter region and make the transcription happen there. In third condition what happens, if low glucose is there and lactose is also available, so the uh, system can utilize the glucose there present in the cell, but glucose is low, so the metabolism of glucose is going on, but we require to, the cell require to, the bacteria require to metabolize lactose as well, so that it can efficiently manage the availability of this carbon source. Okay, so that's why what happens, there comes uh, cap protein in picture, and it binds to the cap binding site and let or facilitate the RNA polymerase to bind at promoter region, eventually making the operand to function. So बेसिकली व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, वी हैव थ्री कंडीशंस, हम लोगों को तीन कंडीशन यहाँ पे है। एक सिंपल सी चीज़ है, इसमें क्या है कि लाइफ ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम में सिंपल चीज़ है, इसमें क्या है कि एक रिप्रेसर है ना, जो रिप्रेसर की एबिलिटी है कि वो बाइंड कर सके ऑपरेटर रीजन को, और ऑपरेटर रीजन पे एक बार जब वो बाइंड कर जाता है तो आरएनए पोल बाइंड नहीं कर पाता है। अब आरएनए पोल जब नहीं बाइंड कर पाएगा तो ट्रांसक्रिप्शन नहीं हो पाएगा, ठीक है। लेकिन रिप्रेसर की एक और एबिलिटी उसी के साथ रखी गई है कि वो लैक्टोज से बाइंड कर जाए, और जैसे ही लैक्टोज उससे बाइंड करता है तो उसका शेप चेंज होता है, उसका कन्फिग्रेशन चेंज हो जाता है, अब वो ऑपरेटर रीजन को नहीं बाइंड कर सकता है, ठीक है। तो जब वो ऑपरेटर रीजन को नहीं बाइंड कर पाता है तो फिर क्या कहते हैं, आरएनए पॉलीमरेज वहाँ पे बाइंड कर जाता है और फिर ट्रांसक्रिप्शन हो जाती है, ठीक है। तीसरे में क्या होता है कि अब हमें ऐसा, जब एक बैक्टीरिया है, ठीक है, एक बैक्टीरियम है, तो एक बैक्टीरियम को उसको अपने कार्बन सोर्स को, एनर्जी सोर्स को इफिशिएंटली मैनेज करना है ना। हमेशा कंडीशन जो है वो एक जैसा नहीं होगा कि आपको ग्लूकोज है या लैक्टोज है ना, दोनों भी हो सकता है, दोनों कम अमाउंट में हो सकता है, दोनों ज़्यादा अमाउंट में हो सकता है। तो इस चीज़ को इफिशिएंटली मैनेज करने के लिए क्या है, मैकेनिज्म जो है वो डिफरेंट मैकेनिज्म्स रखे गए हैं। रिप्रेसर के अलावा कैप प्रोटीन भी है जो कि लाइकोप्रेन को फंक्शन करा सकता है, लाइकोप्रेन के स्ट्रक्चर जिनको एक्सप्रेस करा सकता है, ठीक है। तो यहाँ पे हमें यही समझना है कि जो इन्वायरमेंट में जो ऑर्गेनिज्म इवॉल्व हुआ है, ऑर्गेनिज्म जो इवॉल्व हुआ है अपने इन्वायरमेंट के जो अवेलेबिलिटी है फूड सोर्स की, कार्बन सोर्स की, एनर्जी सोर्स की, उसको बेहतर से बेहतर किस तरह से मैनेज कर सकता है, उसको यूटिलाइज कर सकता है। तो इस कारण से ये प्रोटीन के स्ट्रक्चर इस तरह से बने हुए हैं, ठीक है। तो इसी से आप जो है रिलेट कर सकते हैं कि जो डिफरेंट सेल्स हैं यूकेरियोट्स में, डिफरेंट सेल जो है डिफरेंट ऑर्गन में, वो कैसे डिफरेंशियली फंक्शन करते हैं, है ना। जब जिस इन्वायरमेंट में सेल है ना, उसका एक माइक्रो इन्वायरमेंट होगा, लीवर का सेल का इन्वायरमेंट डिफरेंट है, किडनी का सेल का इन्वायरमेंट डिफरेंट है ना, पेनक्रियाज का सेल का, बीटा सेल का इन्वायरमेंट डिफरेंट है, अल्फा सेल का इन्वायरमेंट। तो उसके रिक्वायरमेंट के अनुसार उसमें जो भी प्रोटीन होगा वो वहाँ पे एक्सप्रेस होगा, ठीक है। और उसको कंट्रोल करने के लिए बहुत सारे रेगुलेटर प्रोटीन्स होते हैं, है ना। तो प्रोटीन्स दो तरह से एक्सप्रेस हो सकते हैं, कॉन्स्टिट्यूटिवली, यानी कि वो जैसे कि बीटा एक्टिन है हम लोगों में, बीटा एक्टिन जो है एक्सप्रेस होना ही हर सेल में रिक्वायर्ड होती है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूटिव प्रोटीन कहते हैं उसको, हाउस कीपिंग प्रोटीन कहते हैं उसको, ठीक है। लेकिन कुछ जो है वो फंक्शन प्रोटीन है, उनको जब ज़रूरत होगी फंक्शन परफॉर्म करने के लिए तभी वो एक्सप्रेस होंगे, ठीक है। लेकिन कुछ प्रोटीन ऐसे हैं जो कि हमें फंक्शन में दिखाई नहीं देते हैं, क्योंकि वो जो है वो रेगुलेट करते हैं दूसरे प्रोटीन के एक्सप्रेशन को, वो डीएनए पे बाइंड करते हैं, डीएनए बाइंडिंग प्रोटीन कह सकते हैं आप उसको, ठीक है, या फिर उसको रेगुलेटरी प्रोटीन्स कह सकते हैं। तो इस तरह से हमें समझना है कि कैसे एक्सप्रेशन जो है प्रोटीन का वो रेगुलेट हो रहा है, जो कि हम लैक्टोज ऑपरेंट सिस्टम से हम समझ सकते हैं, ठीक है। लैक्टोज ऑपरेंट सिस्टम का काफ़ी यूज़ है, इट कैन बी यूटिलाइज टू स्टडी द मोलिकुलर बायोलॉजी, है ना। वी कैन have different strain of bacteria where we can knock out different regions of this lycopodium, okay. And when we can knock down or silence it, RNA silencing is there, RNAi, by the use of that, when we can use it as a molecular biology tool also, okay. So you can study all those things in detail in other classes, okay. So for today's class, this was the material that I wanted to explain all to all of you. Hope you people have understood the things, and try to read the material which are available online, and you can consult it further, okay. Thank you.